Ransom strips and restricted covenants. You need to know about them. My name is Ritchie Clapson. I'm a chartered structural engineer and I've been in the property industry now over 40 years. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about ransom strips and restricted covenants. Well, let me start with restricted covenants. It's a restriction for you doing what you want to do. So you might have maybe an existing, let's say an existing office building that you want to convert to residential flats. No problem at all, relatively straightforward. You have permitted development rights in many instances to go and do that. So it's relatively straightforward. In fact, even if it was a planning application, you could go through a planning application and you could get your planning. You could get confirmation from the planning officer, whether that's full planning or permitted development rights, that you have the ability from a planning perspective to go out and build this conversion, to convert the office into residential flats. Now you think you can do it, but maybe you can't. Maybe you've bought a property that in its deeds, it has a restricted covenant. Maybe that land that office is on was given to someone at some point that put a restriction on it. It could have been a property that was given away by maybe a local landowner, and it was given to someone only ever to be used for commercial purposes. In fact, I looked at a property once. It was a hotel, and it was like a community type facility alongside it with a hall. And it was on the edge what was historically a big country estate. You wouldn't know because it's all built up around. But I looked at that, and the problem was it had a restricted covenant. It was given by the original landowner to the local authority. The local authority owned it, had an operator in it, but the restriction was it could only be used for community type purposes. Hotel and the other facilities there, the hall, was deemed for that. But I couldn't convert it to residential. Now, what would I have to do? I'd have to get that restricted covenant lifted. Well, the landowner probably long gone, but the local authority weren't. And it was quite likely that even if I had permitted development rights or planning permission to convert that type of building, the local authority could and might well block me. They might as well say, no, there's a restricted covenant. You can't change that use. So you've got to be very careful about restricted covenants. Ransom strips, that's the other thing. Well, it is what it says on the tin. It's a ransom for a strip of land. So quite often you've got to very carefully look at the deeds on your property for who owns what. And it could just be, if we link the restricted covenants in, that actually there's a restricted covenant that says you're only allowed to cross that land for commercial purposes. Now, crossing it for residential purposes or commercial, reality is no different. But if there's a restricted covenant, then they could charge you to lift that. Equally, it might be you want to get some more services in or out of the property, maybe some extra electricity or more drainage out, and you have to cross that ½ metre strip. They can charge you what they want. They can charge you £100,000 to dig a trench across their ½ metre strip. That's why it's called a ransom strip. They can charge what they want. This is a private agreement. They can charge you £1 million if you want. Well, they're going to try and charge you something that gives you a bit of pain, but they know you're probably going to do. So it's a ransom strip, a ransom number that they know they're probably going to get in. But often it then scuppers your deal, or it takes out a huge amount of profit. So be very careful when you're looking at property. Just because it's got planning, just because it's got permitted development rights, don't assume that you can do it. This is where you need a good property lawyer. A good property lawyer to look at the restricted covenants or any potential ransom strips around your potential development. So ransom strips, restricted covenants, have a look into them on your next development. Hopefully you're liking what we do here. Hopefully that makes sense. Please like and subscribe as always. We'll see you in the next video.